Meeting the wrong agent can cost you time, money, and ultimately your dream home. And most buyers want to work with an agent that they know, like, and trust. Here are the things that you want to say and you don't want to say. That way you're working with an agent that you know, like, and trust. In this video, I'm including a free checklist to show you exactly what to say so you can know, like, and trust your real estate agent so you can find your dream home without the stress and without the hassle. The number one question that you should ask any real estate agent that you meet, whether it's a first or second showing, would you be willing to put in a termination clause based on performance and communication? I talk about this in my short series about protecting yourself from bad agents, and this is the number one surefire way to do it. But the problem is that termination agreements, they're not in the contract to begin with. I'm focused on the numbers, not just the house. This positions you as strategic and not just emotional. I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I want to pick the right real estate agent partner, not just any real estate agent. I've met many buyers that kind of throw their hands up and say, I don't know anything about this process. And here's why that can be dangerous. You're actually handing over all the power to the real estate agent. What you should say instead is that I need an agent that's going to explain the process from A to Z as clearly as possible. Never tell them I need to move quickly. Here's why it's a problem. Unethical agents may start using manufactured urgency to push you into a house that you don't really want to be in. Here's what you should say instead. I'm going to be ready to move when the right deal comes along. I'm not rushing into the wrong house. The third thing you want to ask your real estate agent, especially in that first interview, is to say, hey, I want to know how you get paid, what your incentives are, especially if they're a Zillow agent. Again, I have a video about that you should check out to see exactly how Zillow gets paid from real estate agents on a lead basis, on a referral basis. This is my dream neighborhood, speaks emotionally about the location. What you should say instead is that this area is definitely in my top 10 or 15 area that I'm considering. I think revealing the pre-approval amount right away is a problem because then you're telling the agent what type of buyer you are. Agents are humans just like everyone else, and they're going to prioritize you based on your pre-approved amount. They shouldn't, but that's just the reality. Don't forget, we're still in the interview stage. This is the first house you've looked at with this agent, and you don't need to tell them exactly what you're pre-approved for. Instead, tell them that you have your pre-approval in order and you have a lender that you're going to work with. Most buyers don't know how to frame that first conversation with an agent when they meet them on Zillow. So that's why I created this checklist. It's free to download. Go ahead and go check it out. It's going to give you a shortcut to know the questions to ask any agent that you meet for the first time, especially if you're meeting them off of Zillow. That way you'll know exactly what to ask, what to listen for, and how to know what sales tactics they're using, if any. Because the goal here is to know, like, and trust your agent. That's the best way that they can give you the most honest real estate advice. Nothing's wrong with loyalty, but you should wait to tell your agent that you're going to be loyal to them and you're not going to interview any other agents. You should be using this as an opportunity to interview that real estate agent at your first showing. Here's why that's important, because you want them to demonstrate the value that they bring to the table outside of just opening the door. What's fair to say instead is that I'm interviewing other agents to see who best fits with my goals and where I want to live. Will probably live here forever is actually a red flag for a real estate agent. Most agents know that the first house that you look at as a buyer, you're probably not going to write on it. So telling them that might actually cause them to deprioritize you as a serious client. What you should say instead is that this could be a good fit. I need to look at all the options before we consider making an offer on this house. We're already emotionally attached to the house. Now, that could be a big problem because if you are emotionally attached to it and you write an offer and you don't get your offer accepted, that could be a big detriment to your future searches. It also tells the real estate agent that if they don't get this done for you, you may not be a future client. Buying a house is a juggling act. It's a balance between emotionally attached. Your job, I tell all my clients, your job is to fall in love with the house. My job is to make sure you're not falling in love with the disaster, or at least helping you avoid the pitfalls. And then you have to balance that with being emotionally unattached in the event that you don't actually get the offer. The last thing you shouldn't say to the agent is that you're the expert, you tell me what to do. When you're first meeting a real estate agent, you can assume that they're the expert, but the goal here is to actually identify if they are an expert or if they're an inexperienced new agent. What you should say instead is that I'm looking for an agent that can bring me all the good and the bad and the ugly, and ultimately I'm going to make the decision and you're going to be the agent that educates me on the process. If you found value from this video, Like, comment, share. The goal here is to put you in the driver's seat when you're first meeting that real estate agent at the first house you're looking at, because the reality is that they're going to know a lot more about the process than you will. And if they're a Zillow agent, they have been trained to be able to push you into a sales funnel to see exactly where you are, how serious you are, and if you're going to write an offer on that house that you just looked at. Buying a home is already stressful, and you shouldn't walk into the biggest financial decision of your life without some guidance outside of that first agent that you're meeting. So, if you want to check out my 15 questions that you should be asking every real estate agent that you work with, whether they're a friend or family, that way you can know, like, and trust them and get the best possible advice when you're looking for your dream home. Hey, if you're staying around all the way through to the end, I appreciate you. Your likes, your comments, your shares, subscribing, it goes a long way. And I just wanted to tell you that I see you, I appreciate you, and stick around for the next one. I'd love to know, what are you looking for as a buyer or a seller? What do you need? What kind of answers or questions do you have about the home buying process?